So we have to abandon even to what we don't know. So what does it mean? Can you explain a little bit about it?
Both knowing and not knowing are used to happen in our mind. To follow the middle way, we must detach from both of them. If we are mindful to ourselves, we may be aware of, sometimes we may be aware of knowing or not knowing.
Nếu chúng ta trải nghiệm trên thân tâm mình, thì đôi lúc chúng ta sẽ nhận thấy có sự hay biết hoặc là không hay biết.
To detach from knowing, we must stop paying attention to knowing. If not knowing or not understanding happens in the mind, we must try to stop paying attention to that not understanding. We should not dwell in this pleasant happening. Whatever appears in the mind is caused by our own attachment. If we are not trying to pay attention to the pleasant happening, it will cause attachment again. Because of listening to Dhamma talk or practicing meditation, knowing or not knowing will happen in our mind. If we do not meditate, we cannot go beyond cause and effect. We will always be making new cause and we will always be suffering the new results. Right intention of meditation should be to go beyond cause and effect, doing something and happening or experiencing something within the limits of cause and effect. If we are thinking what to do or how to do or what will happen, we are paying attention to the cause and effect. Attention causes attachment. That's why the more we pay attention to cause and effect, there will be more attachment to cause and effect. To be able to go beyond cause and effect, we should abandon, pay attention to what we are doing and to what happened to us. All the knowings and not knowing are the effect of what we are doing. If we cannot detach from knowing and not knowing, it will happen again and again. If we are pleased to knowing, we will be dissatisfied with not knowing or not understanding. The original impermanent nature and original permanent nature are beyond cause and effect. If we cannot detach from cause and effect, we cannot escape from cause and effect, and we cannot understand the original impermanent nature and original permanent nature. Knowing something or someone, or knowing me or mine, are because of cause and effect. Knowing original impermanent nature and original permanent nature are beyond cause and effect. To be able to go beyond cause and effect, we must be able to detach from both cause and effect. That's why not knowing or not understanding which is happened in the mind is also necessary to detach. Because of strong attachment to cooking or working on computer, it is difficult to be mindful on the breath. To reduce the attachment, we should remember the truth to use only, to do only, not to reject and not to attach. We are used to pay attention to the work of cooking or working on computer. We should change our mental action to the truth, to use only, to do only. We should not be important to code or to work on computer. We should be important not to forget the truth, to use only, to do only, not to misunderstand as something or not to attach. I'm also teaching for over 10 years to reduce attachment to the daily activities. I've been using various methods to solve the problems of attachment. To use only, to do only, to know only, to experience only are the latest methods I'm using now. Because of attachment, we cannot forget to code or to work on computer. Try not to forget the truth, to use only or to do only can reduce our attachment. If there is no strong attachment to our daily activity, it will not be difficult to be mindful to the breath. Thinking how to be mindful in daily life is not solving the problem permanently. We should try to be able to abandon our habits by paying more and more attention to the truth, to use only. Changing the cause can fulfill all our desire. To follow or to practice this way or that way is easy for the meditators. But following or practicing this or that way cannot solve these problems permanently. All these problems are caused by attachment. Only when we are able to follow the middle way, these problems will permanently be solved. All my teachings are also intended to solve these problems. To abandon the practice of mindfulness does not mean not to be mindful. There are various levels in practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness to the breath is just the first or beginning level. If we are strongly attached to this kind of mindfulness, we must be mindful the same way whenever we meditate. If something in our body or mind is evident, we must be able to be mindful to this. Our practice of mindfulness should be flexible depending on the condition. If we cannot abandon the practice of mindfulness to the breath, we cannot continue another step. Besides, practicing with attachment is also not the middle way. Abandoning the practice of mindfulness means to be free from attachment to that practice of mindfulness. With the power of detachment, we can be mindful to the breath anytime. By doing what we are not used to do, we can find our attachment to both we used to do and we are not used to do. By eating what we have never eaten before, we can notice our attachment to the food. By staying where we have never been stayed before, we can notice our attachment to that place. By following the middle way, we can identify the attachment to our former practice. When we notice our attachment, we must try to destroy the cause. These attachments are caused by our pleasant action and our pleasant experience. To reduce the attachment, we must stop paying attention to ourselves, to what we are doing and to whatever happens to us. We can also say all attachments are caused by our own habits. To be doing only or using only without attachment, we should try to abandon each of our habits while we are doing good deeds. In this way, we all can be free from attachment and wrong understanding. To follow the normal way, abandoning practice is not necessary, but to follow the middle way, abandoning practice is necessary for everyone. Although you are studying the Buddhism, you are not following the middle way. You are grasping to yourself and to what you are doing. Grasping means paying attention to what you are doing. That's why you misunderstand the abandoning practice to stop what you are doing. Studying Buddha's teaching, both by theory and by practice, is the best thing we all can do. But we must try to be doing only. If we are not doing only, we will pay attention to the action of doing and not doing. Doing with attachment can easily change to not doing with attachment. If we are mindful, we must try to detach from the practice of mindfulness. If we are not mindful, we must detach from not doing the practice of mindfulness. To follow the middle ways, doing must be doing only. Not doing must also be not doing only, without attachment. If there is knowing, we must detach from knowing. If there is not knowing or not understanding, we must try to detach from that pleasant not understanding. Pay attention to the greater truth is our own habit. If we can abandon our mental habits, no need to abandon the practice of mindfulness. When I follow the middle way, I have to detach from a lot of not knowing or not understanding. The middle way is the same for everyone. If I'm grasping to not understanding, I must stop my practice.